because they play with a top lane sub and they support one another. And it's all about bringing success to your team, utilizing your own unique strengths.
What about 2022? Without Juhan? No
Damn right.
Win.
And
no Worlds win.
Think about HLE is another example. 2021, Morgan subbing in. Do you think Dudu was upset about that? Probably. But it was definitely a great move, and you have to think about the team needing to win together. Okay, let's have a look at this draft and see how it is going to go. Already the Xin Zhao and the Azir are going to be big bans. This is something that T1 has relied on. A lot of teams, honestly, have relied on. Owner Xin has been ridiculous.
He's been the best at it by far.
Oh, yeah.
By a very large margin. We've had a lot of great junglers. Right now, Lucid, Peanut, Canyon, Owner, all kind of contesting. I don't think we've had a clear standout yet. But when it comes to Xin Zhao, I do think Owner is truly unmatched, particularly with the style that T1 plays and his ability to know when to go back in. Something that Xin Zhao, in particular with his power in longer fights and the sustain, is craziest.
Can we say flex pick? Yeah, can we say it?
Sure, yeah. Most likely, obviously, it's going to go to Zeka, but there is a possibility for some flexing going on here. I'm wondering if this raises the priority of Nidalee specifically, because that is a pairing that we've seen a lot of, and we do know Humble Life quite likes it. The Rumble also open, the Jace open, the Ambessa open, and one of those is definitely going to get picked up by Doran here. Looks like it's going to be the Rumble, also because denying the combination of Rumble and Yone, I think, is a really big deal, because that is a nightmare to teamfight against. Itemization becomes quite hard towards top as well.
Also opens up flexibility in the jungle at the same time, giving you that definitely more even damage profile as Owner taking a bit of a risk here. We've seen the Nefiri up and down was nerfed a little bit on this patch as well. Isn't quite the same top doggo that we were seeing in the last week of play, but it still will be locked in and does give Owner a lot of power in this draft.
What the interesting thing for me is with Nefiri is that as it got nerfed, our players still looked better because both them and the team got more proficient at playing with this champion. Yeah. Because I think Nefiri is actually crazy strong, and it does fulfill, not in terms of the setup that it has, but in terms of the backline threat that it provides. Kind of similar vibe to Lee, right? To something like the Xin Zhao champions that can really go in heavily on these brawls and influence team fights by a pretty crazy degree. As you're not going to go
I always think that it's a new champion when she gets hovered. I don't know whether this is actually going to be a thing that happens, but Zeka with a blind LeBlanc option would be odd, to say the least.
I think they're just going to counterpick for top. The only downside of this is that we are looking at a very AD-heavy draft. No AP thus far.
Does mean that T1 have to ban Ziggs Kai'Sa.
Yeah.
And so HLE probably able to sort of knock that off. They have an understanding of what they're then able to pick. And Viper has an extensive champion pool when it comes to the crazy stuff. And so I'm expecting T1. It's going to be Teemo. It's Teemo 100%.
Yeah. I knew you were going to go there.
Yeah, it has to be the case.
What's the last time we played it again? Just so people know how realistic. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Something like that.
Interesting.
That doesn't help my you're supposed to be here supporting me, Chronicle. No, I'm trying to dole out
your case at all.
I'm doling out the misinformation.
How did you not know that before you answered it? Obviously, I was setting you up to fail.
Oh no. Damn it, it's like I keep forgetting the obvious. It's okay. The Kai'Sa are going to be banned away as we expected. Next one should be the Ziggs. And now, what are HLE going to be removing? As it's both bottom lanes have been ignored so far. And in fact, T1 have just picked their own champions. Theoretically, HLE could have picked their own champions as well, but we expect a little bit of a mid-top swap. And the Poppy is going to be the response ban out of HLE.
Also telling that the respect that the T1 bot lane has for Humble Life, because they obviously could have just picked Kai'Sa on 4 here, right? Opting to ban it instead. With this setup so far, I wonder if they're looking towards the Ezreal, because Ezreal kind of slots into any composition, right? Kai'Sa would have actually been good here, but I think Kai'Sa can struggle more with lane matchups, as it's a respect ban to the Lights Alish. And this is a clear sign that I think both are going to... Well, I actually think they're going to save counterpick for Keria here. But they just think the Lights Alistair is so cracked. It could also be R4L, as you're saying, but I could see either. As we have the final ban here, we'll see if they then, in response, but no, they seemingly agree. I think Ezreal here is really hard to punish as well.
Yep.
So is it maybe MF? The setup isn't great for MF. There's a lot of damage available between the Equalizer. MF is obviously quite lane dominant, but not the best setup thus far, but if you go Rel on 5, I think you're kind of feeling good about it.
Yeah, I think that they do want to lock in an AD carry. I think saving support counterpick is a huge one, because otherwise it gives HLE the ability to take something that's a little bit more maybe scaling and put a range support alongside it. I just think the Viper's going to play Cog more. I don't know why. I just feel it in my bones. I feel like, yeah, it's some like mega nerfed Lulu over the last 7 patches and Kog'Maw, but it's not going to happen. Looks like Viper is going to head down the Misfortune route into this Corki. Still taking some time thinking about it. And it will be locked in. Makes me a little bit sad because I kind of wanted them to cook a little bit, but it will be just MFRL. Very standard composition that has been put together by HLE, and it's a good one.
Yeah, it is full AD, but there are matchups where, you know, if they still have top lane and they are 5 Malphite, obviously going to be feeling bad, but that's not going to happen.
Yep.
Unless Keria just pulls out the Rumble support. Not going to be the case, as expected. We will see what he actually ends up locking in, but as T1 actually picking their whole draft in order, which is always cute. This is the one team that I trust, because I think the Pantheon support has really looked very lackluster to execute on this, is specifically T1. We've seen, even in their matchups against teams that are insanely strong, they're able to very consistently find these early mid-game advantages, and that's what the whole comp thrives around, right? You want to get the resets with Neferi, you want to play with a really strong jungle 2v2, and when you have a support that allows for setup as well, it allows you to really snowball the game. If we do get to the teamfight stage, though, and the laning phase doesn't end up collapsing for Humble Life, that 5v5, oh boy.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I actually think that HLE have come out of this feeling absolutely fantastic. I think the damage profile means absolutely nothing because there's no tank, and so it doesn't really matter. And so HLE just getting a whole bunch of champions that they really, really like in matchups that are pretty good can be a little bit worrying here. But T1, like you say, they've got a lot of the OPs, they've got a lot of the stuff that they are very, very good at playing, and they're also in outstanding form at this point in time. So I'm very keen just to see what happens on Summoner's Rift, because that is the main one. Is that another famous person and I can't recognize? Oh, she's an actress and a huge T1 fan as well. So having a little bit of a chat to her prior to getting onto the Rift here for game number 1 of our Saturday Showdown. HLE, all of their favorite things is what they've decided to take to the Rift here today. An understandable decision. And T1, they've got the Ahri for Faker, absolutely huge one here. Owner on the Neferi. We know that Owner has been in incredible form, but I don't know whether it necessarily is a composition that can stand up to what HLE have put together here as we jump onto the Rift for game 1. Oh, Lowpark is exploding today. There are so many people. Fan chants looking pretty even as well. As we could see, there was some biffo that happened.
You know what that Neferi skin reminds me of?
What?
One of my favorite games ever.
Akami, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I said this just the other day.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you. It's so cool because that
was coming.
Yeah. Cannot wait. And they need to remake the other one as well. Because I know the Wii version came out after the PS2 version, which is the one that I played, and I loved it. But it was still a bit grainy, you know, because the resolution wasn't all that high, so it didn't feel great.
Switch version is great.
Is there a Switch version of Akami?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's where I played it.
Because I was told, actually, that there's a Steam version as well, but I prefer to play it on the go.
Oh, you can.
Oh my god.
Hey, you're welcome to.
Oh. Can I borrow it from you, utilizing the new borrowing method thingy?
Let's you can, yeah.
Hell yeah. Okay, Carrier is going to get engaged on here, but is able to avoid Delight. As already we are jostling for position here on the bottom side. Man, I'm so excited about Akami, but I need to stay focused on the Saturday Showdown.
That's us, Atlas. We're always focused. Sometimes in roundabout ways, but that's okay. As we do
We're focused on something.
Yeah, fighting for early position. The Corki has not been living a great life so far.
That's continuing to happen here as Carrier also down to sub 200 health. And Smash's cleanse is already on cooldown. Delight does have his Ignite now not available. So T1, a little bit more aggressive option.
Yeah, pot's ticking. Cookie still there for Carrier. Do take a note of that. Cookies right now, especially if you're low on health, are completely crazy. Really, really strong in these early all-ins. And the Corki, to me, is really we couldn't pick Ezreal. In this case, Ezreal was banned.
Yep.
Because it feels like he doesn't quite have the same impact. I think he's a little bit stronger in lane, and I do think he pairs nicely with the Pantheon in that regard. But you're obviously still playing into a map. So Viper looking good on the early trades here, and carry and smash, even for all of their heavy contesting. Doesn't look like they are going to maintain control of this lane.
Nope.
Jungler pathing towards the other end as well, as Owner is on the top side of the map. I don't really think there's an angle for Peanut here just yet, unless they get more poked down, but still big win early on here for Viper and Delight.
Yep, going to be able to get this wave shoved on forward. You can see Smash and Carrier were thinking about going for a cheater recall, but realizing that they don't have enough time to get back, so they will be waiting for this lane as Zeka and Faker fighting. But Faker actually doing pretty well here as Carrier going to get interrupted before he goes back home. That is going to spell a little bit of trouble here for the T1 bottom lane. Man, this Rel is being very, very annoying. As Owner's coming up towards the top side of the map to see whether he can punish his former top laner. Let's see whether it's going to work out here as Doran looking for some harpoons. He just flashes on him. There's the boot back, and Zeus knows that he is 100% dead. First blood going over to Owner is exactly what T1 want with this composition.
Very straightforward. Gank here. This shouldn't be a surprising timing. I wonder
nice
if...
that's a nice knock-up as well. Faker is really dead, guys. Permafrost is a thing, and Zeka also just going to come on over. Peanut presses no buttons, but just supports his mid lane.
Actually, cute little timing there from Delight. Usually what happens is after you get the crash, you then base and then walk towards mid, but a little bit early on the timing there, which I think is what caught Faker off guard. And here Owner does a really good job of dodging the ward there that was put down in Tri-Brush, so does catch Zeus off guard. But again, I assume they didn't have any early tracking because this is very standard game timing, right? It's just full clear, get grab. And Zeus didn't quite get the crash either, so I think his lane state wasn't the best. The one upside is that he just rotates the bot. And because of the immediate kill also found by Humble Life, thanks to Peanut and Delight, Gold dead even for now.
Yep. Zeus also has flash advantage. Even though he did fall down, he's probably still feeling okay as far as the lane phase is concerned. Faker and Zeka continuing to do a bit of battle here, but that's a very nice charm. As Zeka going to get a cute little knock-up, but otherwise Faker is just fine. So Dragon going to spawn, like you were saying, based on the very even nature of just getting a pick on either side. It is T1 with a slight lead. That is just first blood.
The game going to be, particularly for T1, the big thing here to me, how much value can they actually get as we take a look.
Wait, one of them has to win.
Between the Corki and the
Rel, yeah.
Well, I do think the Rel, if you look at the teams that have played it, I do think the sample size is a little worse, yeah, compared to the Corki. But yeah, we're going to break a losing streak here in this first game.
Oh, that feels good. That's a bit of an upside, isn't it?
That's nice.
It's very, very nice.
On the flip side, we're also continuing a losing streak.
Yeah, but I mean, it's already a losing streak, right? So it's fine.
So
what's the difference between 7 and 8?
So what you're saying is sustaining the losing is offset by how good it feels to break the streak?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
That's what I think. I think the upsides outweigh the downs. Okay, speaking of downs, Faker is taking a bit of damage here, but Peanut not able to find too much. Doesn't have level 6. His carrier is making his way in. Immediate flash out from this Sejuani, and Peanut's in so much trouble. Doran's going to cook him. That equalizer, so incredibly proactive and gorgeously well played.
Nicely done there. Carry out, making his impact known on the map. Sets it up there. The attempted play towards Faker not working out. Faker didn't even need to flash.
Yeah.
So Peanut thought he could just do a little drive-by gank. Maybe you get Faker, maybe you don't, but you shouldn't have to pay for it. Instead, actually ends up paying pretty handily. What I do have to note, though, is that with that roam, Zeus was able to get a play towards the bot side, which means that even with the assist, Gold stays relatively close as Delight going in. Carrot does have flash, might have to use it here.
Yeah, Peanut is just running forward. Zeka just joins in.
TP'd and ulted.
For some reason.
Well, I think he thought that they were going to get Carrier, but he was definitely, that was like a good 2 seconds after Carrier was already out.
Yep. Still, I mean, his flash is down, so...
Well, it's not the end of the world, but it's not great.
No. It was an odd maneuver. Some synchronized backs coming on in here. Please just cancel it so that you can pick up the flower. Yes, very nicely done there, Delight. Thank you very much. Zeka coming on over, Faker ignoring him, and it should be okay. Zeka is decently far ahead as far as farm is concerned. Has about a 300 gold lead, as we can see there. And so the Yone is still going to be doing some good things. However, that last play was just weird.
We just didn't quite see the line.
No.
That he did.
But the thing is, we're not world champions, so he sees lines that perhaps others don't. And so do we have a right to judge?
Or he just made a mistake.
Yeah, but we don't know that because we can't see the lines. The lines chronicle it. It's the lines.
Can never say with certainty.
Exactly. I didn't see the line for the Diana top, and that's why I didn't judge Kingen either, because he's also a world champion, okay?
Yeah, and there was no line, as we found out.
Well, I mean, did you talk to Kingen about it? I haven't heard from him what the line was.
Well, I'm a guy that loves to see lines everywhere, even when they might not necessarily be there.
I think the line that we had was, it wasn't very good. That was the line. As Zeus is going to walk down the line himself, and immediately he's harpooned, realizing that he's going to have to try and turn this one. Ona coming down, and Doran is just going to leave it for him. Let's see whether Zeus can get any magic done. And he's trying to avoid some of the daggers here. Does do so. Goes to the skies and then dies. That is going to be another kill going over to Ona. This Nefiri, we know how well the doggo can scale, or at least snowball. And that is once again working out very, very well. Zeka not quite finding that Q. Just trying to get some trade damage onto Faker and does utilize the Unbound Soul quite well that time around.
Bit of a jungle diff so far.
Yeah.
Owner actually be able to have a huge impact. And if there is one team that knows the tendencies of this laner, well, it's obviously T1, as the almost solo Bolo ends up getting the flash out of Zeus, but Zeus otherwise would have been fine, right? Would have been able to disengage, maybe even bait in when Peanut also in the area. But there's no outplaying a point and click, unfortunately, for Zeus, as Peanut should be able to get this. Was a little close, but not actually going to be in any danger. But T1, again, as they should, building a lead.
Oh dear, Smash gonna get bullet time. Does Valkyrie his way out. Carrier taking a lot of damage here, but so is Delight. Now that Aftershock is away. The flash forward and Viper just silences him. Smash able to offer a fair bit back, had some cooldowns, and Ona was making his way in. There's the flash forward, the 2-0 Nefiri avoids the CC and takes down the MF. Delight will survive, and now Peanut here on the bottom side, looking to try and dish back some punishment of his own. They do manage to take down the Rumble. Peanut will survive, and they'll get more plates.
Owner got Delight as well.
Wait, yeah, when did that? What the heck?
Yep, I thought that it was just going to be Viper, but man, he is running around like a wild dog on the Rift. 4 kills now as we take another look here. Big thing is Humble Life feel confident. Nice setup there on Smash. Is able to Valkyrie out. And then here, obviously with the Pantheon, you're going to feel pretty confident, but the Light's able to flash out. Viper just gets to, with his PTA, love tap him down, but then Smash still doing damage on the side, and then Owner just gets it, uses the W there to ensure that he's untargetable, and then I think it's just the dogs and the bleed.
Yeah, it's just the bleed.
Actually gets, but very important, because once we get back in the game, you see gold still even. At the same time, Peanut makes this play towards the bot side happen. This one means a ton more plates, because Smash can't actually stick around for quite as long. And, crucially, no counter kill, which is why gold lead remains steady, Atlas.
Yep, basically dead even. Still T1 extending it a little bit, but HLE getting themselves a dragon is likely to even that out. As Ona moving down towards his bottom side, Zeus and Delight down here. 2v3 at the moment. And T1 thinking about this dive. Carrier starting it off as Delight able to tank up decently well. Looks for the crash down onto the Nefiri. And now Viper makes his way over. T1 take that as a sign to disengage, and I think it's understandably so, as Peanut once again getting bothered by Doran a little bit as he takes down another objective, but this time it's just going to be an evening out of the grubs. 2 objectives now done for HLE. No first turret blood, but that bottom lane outer turret for HLE. Sitting at 2 plates remaining. And so T1 wanting to defend that if they do want to go for these feats of strength.
And we do need to see T1 actually get, either through Drakes or through turrets, start to break this game, right? Like, they still have a good amount of time, I think, for the next 10, 15 minutes. I still expect their composition to be very straightforward, very strong. Theoretically, I think there are parts of this comp that scale well if you can maintain vision control, right? You have incredible burst, great resets, good backline access. But if we get to the 5v5 and the state of the game is as it is right now, you might be in trouble.
Immediate interruption. There's the Magnet Storm as well onto Carrier. Viper in a bit of trouble, though, as T1 and HLE just trading a bunch of spells on the bottom side. Peanut looks for Doran, though, once again. And with Zeus here, it is more punishment for the Rumble, and this time Ona unable to find anything on the other side of the map.
That is now Peanut desperately trying to keep up and succeeding with the map impact. Owner this time doesn't actually get nicely done there by Delight, right? He's the one standing guard, ensuring that carry up with his ultimate doesn't actually get a ton of value. Still a good amount of plates that are going to go over, but same for Zeus. And again, if the gold stays even, I like Hanwha Life's comp a lot. I think that it just plays itself out so cleanly. You have so many different damage threats, so it's hard to actually shut down, right? Because T1 is really good at finding a single target, blowing them up. But there's Jace, there is Yone, and there is MF, and all of them can carry a team fight. Obviously, itemization is going to be a little easier for T1, expecting that eventually they'll start stacking some armor. But as we highlighted, there isn't a tank. If there was even something like a Scion, eventually it would become a really big problem. But T1 is, as they often do, all squishies.
Yeah, this is not really a team that's going to be able to utilize the fact that there is a lot of physical damage on the side of HLE, and, you know, Yone does a fair bit of mixed damage. Viper's Make It Rain is magic damage as well, Chronicle. I mean, it's basically 50-50, let's be honest.
It's the BT into Leandries, of course.
Yeah. And that's the normal build.
That's the line?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's not quite Luden's Leandries, which is my personal favorite. Blackfire Torch as well. You just really go all in into the burn from the Make It Rain. That is actually the support MF build.
I know.
You know, so he's not.
Yeah, I know you're a connoisseur of this, of the support MF specifically.
Yeah, I mean, my wife actually plays mainly support MF.
Oh, I know. That's why.
Yeah. I'm not a connoisseur of it. She's definitely the.
You're a Garen connoisseur. You can't be connoisseur of multiple things.
Exactly, definitely not. No. Having multiple likes in the world, certainly not a thing.
No can do.
As there is some Malignants here done for Faker. Does have that first item completed. Has evened things out with Zeka quite a lot as well, especially as far as farm is concerned. We haven't really seen too much more as far as Biffo in the mid lane, as far as these two players.
This Drake is a really big deal. I think T1 need to heavily prioritize getting this, because if they don't, it might create a situation where they're going to be forced to take fights that they really don't want to, as in they go.
Oh dear. Carrier does put up the shield, but I don't know about it. Does taxi his way over to Delight, but Viper is going to close the distance, and that is Peanut locking down the kill. That should spell the second dragon of the game for HLE, and that is only going to continue this snowball rolling. And despite the fact that there's a 4-0 in Fury, it just doesn't feel like Ona's able to do enough. And even if they kill Zeus, is this even good enough to try and even things out? As Equalizer comes down as well, Zeus seeing what he can get done here. Actually boops Ona away and then uses him to taxi to the turret. That was gorgeous.
Very nice. It doesn't even flash. And now the Drake gets taken. The crux of it is this. If T1 is the one engaging, this comp looks amazing. But if you are, say, a Pantheon and Peanut finds you, you're just not getting out. There's no way. Oh my god. Forces the flash!
Yeah, Doran's going to have to flash, and that is once again Zeus with a flash advantage after getting ganked. And this time he doesn't die. So you'd say certainly a positive.
Viper.
Yeah, that is a really nice
That's
interrupt.
a great use of the BT shield. I love it. It's like, I can take that. I can take that hit. Doesn't matter. I am starting to believe, Atlas, that Hanwha Life might take this series a little bit more serious than they...
It's looking a little like that.
I feel like it's not quite the same Hanwha Life we saw in some of their other matches. I don't know if you agree with me.
Yeah, no,
in this first one so far.
I'm seeing a bit of those vibes. Not necessarily in the top lane. I feel like Zeus has just been overextending with Reckless Abandon, but the fact that they're actually playing for cross-map is the biggest difference.
We also say that, but then we look at the gold.
Yeah, 1.3k is a lot more money, isn't it?
It's a lot of gold.
Zeus has a habit of doing that, doesn't he? We really cannot cannot get caught by that.
Which T1 also aware of. And I do want to highlight T1.
Well, they're going to look for Zeus once again. He knocks Doran away, does use the flash this time, as Carrier should have a stun back up. He tries to go for it, but Smash turns up. That's going to be a dead Jace once again.
And I wanted to highlight this. It is important to know that T1's side lane threat is still great with that Pantheon, and their picks and their ability to snowball off of a single pick very quickly is still going to be huge. There's also the patented T1 Baron, maybe augmented by a T1 Otacon, to try and make sure that Hanwha Life don't get to just continue scaling into this game.
And Peanut as well, you just saw there, this is why the Sejuanis are often banned if you're planning to play Neferi. Because we saw, like, there is a decent lead for Ona still. He's a 4-0 Neferi, and Peanut seems to not care at all. He's now walking up towards Smash here at the same time, who does have Cleanse, but he can't cleanse twice. So Permafrost comes in, Glacial Prison as well, and that is a dead Corki. But now the rest of the cavalry have arrived, and Bristle and Sedge are going to get removed.
Going
one
in.
for one as in goes Ona. Delight trying to survive, and he will do so for now as Zeka unbinds the soul, looks to find an angle, and there's a gorgeous ulti. Doran's gonna lie down as well, and Delight is still alive. Finally he falls, but it has to be in trade for Carrier's life. And now Zeus, he's teleported back in. They want to get this shut down as the Doggos block the shock blast, but I just don't think it's enough. There it is, and the shutdown goes to the Jace.
Layers upon layers there. First, it looks like Smash is just caught. Then it looks like it's a classic T1 wraparound debate coming into play.
Let's check out this onion of a team fight.
So, starts off with Smash getting caught by Peanut, who, as you say, does not care. Smash, unfortunately, gets hit by the Permafrost, which he cleanses, gets immediately hit by the point-blank ultimate. And then this is the point where you go, wait, hold up. Might be an angle to actually make a play here. The only issue is that when Ona goes in, the rest of the team not in a position to follow up. If they just take out the light there, would have been huge. If Faker and Doran don't both get caught there, Faker flashes that, maybe there's an angle with the resets, but instead it's the arrival of Zeka there that ends up being the big difference maker.
Yeah, this guy, we know he's pretty good at the Yone, but he's demonstrating exactly why he's so incredibly feared. And this looked like it was getting dicey, and then it was this ulti in the other direction. It was just so gorgeously done. Let's have a look at it in real time as Peanut's just going to miss an ult. Understandably so, and of course, Faker is pretty slippery on this Ahri.
Does get the flash though. Zeka also investing his. Still, they are able to bully Faker out. Also really cute there, Delight. The thing that kept him alive for so long was he actually used his, you know, the little whip him over you auto.
Yeah.
As the dash from Owner came in.
Aha, very cute.
And right now, we're starting to finally see the gold lead, but not in the way that T1 with a pick-up like this was hoping for. The early game, not quite able to build the lead that they wanted, and now we're coming up on a soul point fight, a possible 5v5 where Humble Life are going to have item leads. 2 items here for Zeka. Viper might even be able to hit one as well, though with the timing, don't think he can quite get the back off. But Zeus sitting on a Shojin and a transformed Muramana as well. Faker not the second item just yet, also not going for the build we've seen a lot of, so damage going to be feeling great, but not quite as beefy.
Yeah, it doesn't have the Rod of Ages that we've seen be so incredibly popular throughout this season thus far. As, yeah, Peanut just clearing out some blast cones, things like this. The control is massive. Great little knock up there from Zeka. Interrupts his own dash by utilizing the wall. Very, very cute. And now the first Cloud Dragon is going to be attempted. Rift Herald already thrown down here at the same time. HLE just trying to cause some distractions as Carrier dives into the backline. An immediate cleanse from Viper, though, and Carrier is in so much trouble. But there's a huge fight elsewhere. Zeus is getting cooked as Doran doing so much work. The rest of HLE are now stuck in the Thunderdome as Zeka trying to take matters into his own hands. Somehow Smash gets the dragon. What the hell was that? But Zeka is a monster on the bottom side of the fight and then snaps back to destroy the rest of them. Viper grabbing so many kills. And with 2 of these carries left alive, Faker able to teleport his way out. But that is not going to win them the fight, as HLE, they don't walk away with the dragon, but I think that was out of turret in mid lane, or at least a charge here onto the inner, and a whole lot more money.
It's what we talked about. There are 3 members on Humble Life that have enough damage to carry a team fight. Even though Carrier goes in, there isn't really any follow-up. He buys a good amount of time. The equalizer is nice. They're not actually able to get on top of Smash on the other end, but they stall long enough. And then this is where things look a little bit scary. But then the catch onto Doran, Faker not hitting the charm, meaning that Zeka can both dispatch of that Rumble, also keep Faker low. And while all this is going on, look at Viper!
Yep.
He's full health!
And now he has that Infinity Edge that we were talking about earlier on. This MF is getting scarier and scarier.
What is the one upside for T1 there is that they were able to get the dragon, but it's just an individual Drake. It denies soul point, which is nice, but that isn't quite enough as T1 are really, really, what is it, Bloodletter's Curse, I want to say?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the item. I was actually looking for it.
Sure
Does that stack? I don't think so. Normally items like that don't. I haven't actually done my research on that one in particular.
I'm fairly certain it doesn't. I'm wondering if you can stack it like for each other.
Oh yeah, perhaps. Maybe it stacks faster.
But
That's all right. Peanut is in a little bit of trouble. Charm does come down, but Faker is hit by a prison. And prison is generally relatively large. It sounds a little bit frightening. But Zeka now moving towards his top side. The Otacon is going to be a big one. It is ruinous. And so that is a bunch of extra stats, especially if you've got some of these dragons stacked up in HLE. They already have a couple sitting there. See who can actually get first move on that one. Oh, 2 minutes until the Baron as well.
They're going to need to get a pick onto someone. I think Viper is a tough target. Teleport comes in, and now this is the worst case scenario for a comp like this. You are out of control of vision. You're going to just have to face check. No one really likes doing that on T1, and I think they're making the right call.
Yeah.
Otacon. Oh, they're going to go for the late contest. The objective is gone, but looking for the fight here. Faker on a flank.
Yeah, in goes Carrier. We'll see whether they can get some of these petals, but it looks like the answer is absolutely not. As Zeka finds a gorgeous ulti. The layering of the bullet time there as well is just like poetry from HLE. And Ona is now running for the hills. Only him and Faker left alive, and Faker has his own problems here towards the top side. Delight gonna get engaged on, gets himself the shield from the crash down. And yes, Ona may be able to go untargetable, but that is only for a minuscule amount of time. Viper deals with the exit plan and then takes down the doggo. Zeka underneath this turret as well is a little bit worrisome, and Zeus wanting to take it down as there's the flash forward from Faker, looks for the angle and takes down Zeus. Consolation.
Yeah, that was completely unnecessary from Zeus.
Yeah.
Did not have to do that whatsoever. Nice little consolation prize, but it's just that. It's consolation. It's not going to be enough to bring them back in this game, as we're seeing someone has to be doing, it might even be Carrier, it might be Barrel for all we know, is doing unspeakable things with Pantheon support and scrims, because this pick keeps coming up and we just haven't seen it look good. As here, yeah, no excuse. There's no line here. They are just kind of disrespecting and dying for it. So Faker gets the kill onto Zeus there. That is nice, but again, it's not going to matter. The game state is an absolute shambles. Humble Life have built an incredibly oppressive lead, and it's really hard to see T1 finding their way back in this one, as that trio, Viper, Zeus, Zeka, all doing unreasonable amounts of damage. And if you go for one, the others will cook you.
Yep. And Zeka up here will be able to defend out of turret in top lane, still standing, as it's only one turret that T1 have been able to pick up as they're around the Baron pit. Always a worrisome time. Baron is only 30 seconds old at this point, but I just don't think the game state is going to allow anyone to go towards an early Baron. Peanut now just looking to clear out some vision in the area, though. Ona is going to be able to at least pop the Frost Armor. As Peanut also able to steal some Krugs.
That's where we're at, Atlas.
Oh, God.
He popped the Frost Armor.
He did! He popped the Frost Armor!
That's like when I'm saying, you know, it could be worse. That's never followed by anything good.
Yeah, unless they pop the Frost Armor, in which case it's great. It's really...
why is it great, Atlas?
There isn't a reason. It's just it's looking a little bit doomed. It is only a 5,000 gold lead. At 26 minutes, that is not end of the world, but HLE with full control of the map. I mean, the world is close to the end, but it's not fully doomed, you know? As Delight looking for an angle here as the Glacial Prison somehow misses Doran. He flashes away. That is still Flash now down. Faker able to get some money on the top side by taking out that outer turret I was talking about before. As HLE just looking to get their lanes in order and set up the 1-3-1. So they can continue putting on just ultimate amounts of pressure towards T1.
Bit of an everything gap in this first one. Owner definitely able to do a lot of heavy lifting in the early game, but outside of that, and that's, I think, in no fault to him, was trying as hard as he could to make things happen on the Neferi, but it's really the rest of the lanes, right? Carrier, Smash, both struggling. Faker not having the impact that we've come to expect from him, particularly on the Ahri. And Doran, even with all the attention that was being paid, unable to match Zeus's impact on one of Zeus's signature champions, obviously, with the Jace. And now this first game feels like Somewhat of a wash here. Now, it is Humble Life in Game 1. They have been known to be pretty good at these. They've also been
Game 1ers.
They've also been known Game 2 losers. So we are just following the expected path here, I guess.
And there's also the fact that, I mean, HLE, if they could choose their own champions blind, it would probably be this draft.
Yes. Yes,
Like,
I think they'd be
almost
pretty happy
exactly.
about that.
Maybe Viper would play something else.
Well,
Maybe it'd be Kai'Sa.
You can nitpick, right? Like, it'd probably be like Kai'Sa, Alistar, or...
No, it would actually
Khan.
just be Kai'Sa. Otherwise, I think it's all of these champions and Kai'Sa.
I think the Light would rather play Alistar.
No, but his Relspec. Oh, that's actually not true. His Alistar is amazing.
Well, it's you know, like, what do you like more, a sunset or a starry night? It's no point.
I don't actually have an opinion. I think I like both of them. Very different reasons.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a very good example of something that people wouldn't actually want to differentiate between them.
No.
Very nicely done. On the spot. Okay, Smash, Lord Dom's now completed, but I just don't think that it's going to quite be enough. The third item collector from Viper is a choice you could make. Seems odd to build it in that order.
Yeah, I really do believe that at this point in the game, just from base armor, you're going to get more value out of LDR as well.
Yeah, Zeus might be in trouble, but he flashes absolutely everything. And Ona, he's gone untargetable, seeing whether he can survive. He's burning, but it's not going to quite be enough. But now, oh, never mind. Somehow, it is the MF that picks up the kill, and there goes Faker at the same time. A double now for Viper, as Doran, can he actually be a hero here? I just don't really think there is much of an angle. He's looking to cook. Zeus does have the equalizer, but it doesn't really land onto anyone. Zeka has found Smash as well, as the Valkyrie actually doing a fair bit, but just not enough to keep him alive, as Carrier is under the wrong turret. And so therefore, he is very, very dead. He's going to see whether he can kill some minions and stuff like that. Gets a ward down. But HLE, they're already on the Baron, and this game is over, ladies and gentlemen.
Final attempt, a last-ditch effort from T1. Does not work. Zeus goes up. Not enough damage here. Nice flash there from him. Faker, even with Carrier arriving, he's like, I'm going to try and TP out. Doran comes in, but unfortunately, I think they weren't quite ready for everyone on Humble Life to be this quick on the response. But also, it was a Hail Mary. I think that this realistically was never a plan where T1 had too much faith. And the fact that they do eventually take down the Jace is nice, but isn't really going to change the game state. Really credit to Humble Life. I think their team fighting in this first game looks nigh unmatched, and T1 couldn't quite find, even against Gen G, I think they found a lot more leeway in the early game. We're actually able to snowball really aggressively, and Humble Life just didn't let them do that at all.
Nope.
Soul is about to be picked up, and as you point out, this game, the Nexus might not have fallen yet, but we know.
I think the Nexus knows what's coming. You know, the Nexus is not going to be surprised when an HLE are coming knocking on the door. Speaking of knocking on the door, they're going to be able to look towards bottom side of the map. Peanut is going to turn an engage from T1 into an engage of his own as Carrier dives in, but immediately goes to half health. There's the Magnustorm from Delight as well. And the MF a little bit late on the bullet time there because the target was already destroyed. Now Viper over the wall, waits for the minion wave. They will be able to break the base here as Doran and Smash, yeah, they've got a bit of damage, but there is just no way to stop HLE as they march towards the Nexus turrets now. Equalizer goes down, largely in defense though, as Doran now having to deal with Zeus, and he's not able to do so even a little bit. Ona dives in because he may as well. And there's the flash forward from Zeka, gets the knock up onto Smash. Permafrost not in range, and it doesn't even need to be, because Zeka's there with enough damage. That's a clean ace. That's going to be a clean kill on a couple of these Nexus turrets. And HLE, welcome to the LCK. It's good to see you still in phenomenal form after first stand.
As the Nexus falls to light, as he always does, little shout out to his old team with the Gen G. As Zeka, I know the nerfs came through, and I think that T1 took a gamble. They're like, what?
Yeah.
What? How bad could it be? And they very, very quickly found out, still very bad. I don't think that's going to be a mistake another team will make anytime soon. As Zeka, to me, when it comes to individual gap, probably the biggest in this game in terms of impact. But it really was. Outside again, I think early on, Owner really tried to get a grip on the game. But outside of that, it really was Humble Life looking better as a whole. I also think T1 didn't do themselves any favors with either the draft and what Honda ended up getting, because they were on blue side. I think it is always a little bit tougher. And then the builds that they ended up going for and a composition that needed to snowball. So T1's going to move to blue side, but this first game, Humble Life, the Game 1 Kings showing their presence here again.
Oh yeah, and using a lot of draft resources, I guess you could say, in order to get there. I think if you're a T1 fan, Game 3 looking more likely, given the fact that there's no more Sejuani for Peanut, Yone for Zeka, and for Zeus. So maybe more of an opportunity in game number 2. And I think we're all just desperate for 3 games in this series. Time to go to a short break. When we get back, the Space going to break it down, and then we'll have more Saturday Showdown.
한번 박을게. 아리 봐도 돼. 아리 개피. 아리 노공, 아리 노공. 그런데? 나필이 노플이야, 이거. 빵만 봐도 돼. 아리 노플. 한태원. 나 라인 하는 중. 넘버 리콜 깔릴게요. 라인, 라인 끝내 생각으로 하자, 얘들아, 이번에. 라인 올게요. 끝내 생각으로 하자. 너네가 스택 쌓고 블래시로. 내가 볼게. 내가 뭉쳐는 있지 마. 나필이 노플. 이거 포탑 천천히 쳐봐. 리퍼가 포탑 천천히 쳐봐. 나 스택 나오면 스택 할게. 피바로 킵하고 한번. 다음 웨이브에 끝내 생각해야겠다. 미드 라인 싸워도 된다. 여기. 나필. 여기 맞아. 나필이 노플이야. 나필. 안 죽어. 한테 나와. 그렇게 끊겼다. 그렇게 노플. 나이스. 뒷라인 오고.
You did say that though. You can confirm.
He's doing it. I can guarantee everyone.
The whole everything about it was touched.
He's not. This is not a bit. He's trying his best to really get on every piece of what he can get his hands on, because we want a third game.
Exactly. And Carsicus, even though they're not real, says Chronicler, they're real and they will come for you.
Well, you know, it's just our brains. This is a whole lot of conversation.
What brains?
That's actually a very good question.
Another valid one.
Particularly when it's you and me on the desk. So, game number 2. There won't be any Yoneing. I also think that, as many have highlighted, that first draft for Humble Life, very close to best in slot across the board for that team. You could nitpick a little bit, but realistically, I think that they were extremely happy that they got that, as the Talia is banned away. And we all know what that means. It's Azir first pick, so Humble Life says, no, not allowed.
Callista.
Yep, Callista is the no-brainer, but Poppy is open. I do think the Talia ban actually also makes the Callista better. I feel like if you're playing as both Poppy and Talia, you don't get to play the game. We have seen the Callista not be quite as consistent, because it is always picked early because it is so strong, which also means that teams can tailor their compositions to play into it.
And this is like, there are a couple of schools of thought. We saw the Callista Renata actually get dominated by the Caitlyn lane earlier on in the week. The other school of thought is to take away the Renata, and of course, Delight very good at that, and the Xin Zhao is now picked away from Ona in the same rotation.
Yeah, to me, this is really a slam dunk. You're going to play into carry as Nico, most likely, which is a nightmare, but you pick away the Xin Zhao from Owner. You also get a guaranteed way to lock down the Callista with the third auto on his Q, and I think Renata and Xin Zhao are crazy good together.
Oh, this would be sick.
That's so T1. Are they bringing it back? We talked about it.
There it is.
With lane swaps being gone, we're talking about this, the possibility of these extremely bot lane focused lanes. And we'll see. Most likely this is going to be Callista, AD Carry, and Ashe support. Ashe support, I think, does still make more sense with the Lethalia build coming a little bit back into vogue, but I don't think that that's what we're going to be seeing. The Mbessa is locked in here, and T1 will also most likely be able to protect Doran with some bans. The Renekton is a must ban, as Zeka
Is it just like a Zeka Power Pick World Tour? That was what we were looking at for a moment. The Jax instead now considered, and they will lock that one away as the answer to the Ambessa that was locked in here. Still theoretically a flex pick, as Faker could be playing it in the mid lane, but we haven't seen it nearly as much in mid more recently.
There is, yeah, so what they do here is they guarantee that Zeus is a matchup he's comfortable with. There are also worlds where theoretically, we know Jax is a good matchup into Xin Zhao, right? Maybe they want to try and deny it to Owner. Could be a secondary thought. Main thing is, Zeus is a great Jax. The matchup is solid enough. Not quite as impressive as something like a Renekton, but Jax obviously has a lot more longevity. As the Poppy band still is really funny to see. Owner is obviously an amazing Poppy, but we have really only seen the champion consistently picked in support, which, who knows at this point, maybe it's Doran playing Kalista top and Faker's play. T1 kind of have a tendency to just throw all of us off as Akali and maybe also a Sylas ban, because what Hanwha is going to do is they're going to pick an AD carry on 4 and they're going to give counter pick to Zeka. And I don't think that you ever want to be in a situation where Zeka gets counter pick on either Akali or on Sylas, because he has been known to be pretty good at those two champions, and he has also been known to play very, very well really in like what the last year and a half, 2 years. There is the AD carry ban, so Sylas does remain up, which leads me to believe that Faker's going to pick something that has a decent matchup into it.
Yeah, not a whole lot of options. Of course, Talia is one of the premier choices. As Velios would be weird.
It's not a champion. That's not real. We don't believe it until it is locked in.
And we don't believe it until Doc Dom.
There it is.
As that is a Caitlyn. Far more expected, and will be the lock-in here. Caitlyn Renata into the Kalista Ashe most likely.
As far as 2v2s goes, I don't think it's the craziest. Obviously with Caitlyn, you always want something that can actually set up for the traps. Renata doesn't quite do that, but it makes sense in the context of how this draft has shaken out. And I still think that with the Xin Zhao, with a really strong 3v3 setup.
Well, the Victor being considered for Faker. I was thinking that maybe they could do some like AP jungle shenanigans as well with like a Lilia option if they would like to, but instead it's tried and true.
Ooh, what is it going to be here? Because the Poppy would have actually been great because, as we know...
Talent is obviously the choice.
It's a setup for dives, right? Like, going back to 2023, BLG was another team that was exceptional at this, at setting up early game dives off of the back of a strong 2v2 with that Poppy specifically, as we will see what ends up. I talked about this pick earlier. It is actually going to be Jarvan. I don't think this is necessarily the craziest Jarvan angle that I've seen, but this champion does have crazy good early ganks. Literally starting level 2, you have the capability of going for extremely strong ganks. But you are playing into Caitlyn, who does actually is a way of getting out of your ultimate, which is always one of the things you look toward. So we'll see. I think T1 definitely taking some liberties again. It's going to be carry on their support. It's going to be owner on the GA4. Whereas for Hanwha Life, you look at this draft and you go, well, they don't have engage support, but outside of that, that's looking pretty good.
Yeah, it's another one of these cases where HLE got kind of all of the things on the second rung that they would like to pick up. You saw their previous draft, that was just above what they have just put together now, but there is a lot of comfort for these champions as well. And the Victor pick, a big question mark for me, just because they knew Sylas was likely to be coming, and we've seen Sylas picked as an answer into Victor all week, and it's been working pretty well. So, I mean, Faker has a lot of mastery on this champion. I don't think doubting the GOAT is ever a good idea, but does seem a little suspect. We'll just have to see whether the gameplay is going to be able to show us exactly why that was the priority.
Faker's going to have a better performance than last game. Definitely got outclassed in the previous one. But again, a very brawly composition here. The laning phase, though, of that bot lane, that's going to be where we're going to be looking. How can Owner impact that lane? How much can Smash and Keria get done? Because the team fighting for Hanwha Life, I think, is again going to be a big problem here.
Yep, I would agree. As this is another beautiful draft put together by HLE. T1, let's see whether they can bring us to 3 games. We jump into the Rift. All right. It is a bit of an arcane matchup as well, which is very, very fun, given the Victor versus Caitlyn situation. And one very cool thing is that Owner is shouting out Cyanide, former Fnatic jungler, just because Smash played with Reckless for so long. You just love to see it. You love to see it.
Is that your headcanon?
That's my headcanon, and I don't care who knows it.
You've also forgot about Mbessa. She's also an arcane character.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, it feels like, you know, the Caitlyn versus Victor thing is the
it's the more enticing.
Yeah.
The owner
so Renata and Mbessa are both also arcane.
Well, I think Renata, isn't she like in the background? Because obviously the Cam Barons play a big role, but more.
That's what I thought.
Not quite as
Wasn't
in your
she,
face.
she was the one that was like sort of supporting cast like through a lot of it.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Although you didn't watch like season 2 for like 400 years. Have you still not watched it?
Still have not watched season 2.
My God,
There's a lot of other great anime that I gotta get through.
This is your job. We're gonna pause. Just you go and watch it now.
All right.
We are pausing the game.
While happening, I'll go run. I can.
Don't run. You've got your phone right there. I can see it.
I can watch it on 8 times.
Put us on camera. Put us on camera right now. Yeah, when the pause is confirmed,
I can watch
it's
it on
because
8 times speed, right?
No, you can watch it right now. I'm gonna put it on right now. Literally right now.
Okay.
I'm doing it.
Yeah, just make sure that you put it on because I need to get through it.
I'm putting it on. I'm putting it on.
Okay.
And Jisun just said boo in my ears and is writing it on the prompter right now. Look at this. Look at all these boos. Okay, we're not. I know there's a new season of Black Mirror, but we're not going to watch that, Chronicler. We are watching Arcane immediately because this is your job.
I did watch the new Castlevania. Does that count?
How does that count? Even in yeah.
I
Okay.
have Jason in
You're
my
getting
ear
fired immediately.
telling me I'm not qualified.
Okay,
to
so
be on the
here is episode 1. Episode
No,
as you can see, loading. It's coming in.
I watched episode 1.
You watched episode 1. Okay,
watched only episode 1.
we can skip to episode 2.
We can go to episode 2.
We can skip to
All right.
episode 2. There we go. We're paused at 1 minute 45.
All right.
Just to confirm, if you can hear the Netflix intro music playing it right now. Here's
That's Imagine Dragons.
Yeah, we've got the intro happening. He is watching it as we speak, right, Chronicler?
Right, so you're going to solo cast while I watch this?
Yes, that's what's happening. Well, no, we can't cast because we can't go until you've watched it.
Well, I got to put this on max speed. I can't watch 7 hours of content.
Yes, you can. What the heck? This is the LCK.
All right, well.
How long do you think we are here every day? Roughly 7 hours.
That's true. I don't need the subtitles. I can turn those off. Are you a English CC subtitles kind of guy?
No, I watch, normally we have Korean subtitles because my wife and I watch things together. So that's why subtitles are almost always on. I also like having Korean subs because I feel like it helps me learn Korean, even though it doesn't. They're just there. But it makes me feel better. Oh man, isn't this exciting? Look at all of the arcane stuff that's going on your screen right there. Aren't you having a good time? Are you struggling to hear it? Because you do have noise cancelling.
I really was until you put so much pressure on you. Just let me watch Arcane in peace. You can go.
All right.
You can go cast a series between 2 of the best teams in the world. While I watch Arcane.
Well, I'm not going to do that because we're going to wait for you. We're polite here at the LCK.
That makes sense. All right.
I'm gonna chat with Twitch chat. So it's totally fine. Dagon's having it's just spamming a whole bunch of stuff. Do we fire Chronicler for not watching Arcane? And I think
there
is
is absolutely zero chance.
It's 1 for yes and it's 2 for no. And I'm just. This is a bit worrying.
There is zero chance that I'm the only one that hasn't watched season 2 of Arcane.
I guarantee that you are
on our team.
I mean, you're one of 2 possible people that have it. But you should have. Everyone should have. There's a lot of 3s in chat for some reason.
I even liked season 1. You know how it goes. I get caught up in other stuff.
No, not when it's Arcane.
All right.
You got to watch that because it's very important for the lore of the LCK as well. You know.
Yeah, right. Otherwise, I wouldn't know the intricacies of Nautilus lore.
Yeah, but also look at the cool sorcerer guy.
Well, you know I love animation. That's not the point.
And this is very good animation as well.
I'm
that's
well
not
aware.
even part of the bit. It's just good.
Yeah, no.
Season 2 was great as well. I feel like it's your type of show.
I know.
Because there was a lot of thinking involved.
I love the music as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just how it goes.
Just doesn't feel like a you move. I felt like if there was anyone that was going to immediately watch Arcane, it would have been you.
Yeah, I don't know. I watched episode 1 as well, and I was like, that's good.
Yeah.
And then I just didn't continue.
I liked it at the start of episode 2 because they had the bit where it looks like they're summoners from the original lore that doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, that was Rakan? Yeah.
Yeah.
As you do.
Yeah, just doesn't really exist even a little bit anymore. But they saved Jace, you know?
I know there's like, so I know Sona still says, it's like what, Sona, Nocturne, that still talk about summoners. I know there's like 2 or 3 chapters.
Oh, yeah, Adagio Summoner.
Yeah.
I think that's the Sona line.
You made it sound more like Tarek though. I kind of vibe with it.
I feel like Tarek would also talk to the summoners, but I only know gems. But yeah, Yundo, by the way, is not going to talk to you until you've watched Arcane.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
And it's important to be able to talk to Yundo because he provides us with a lot of information for the LCK. So you will not be able to do your job.
I can skip the intro, right? That's allowed.
Yeah, you can skip intro.
I'll skip the intro.
Yeah, that's
all right. We skipped the intro.
It's a headset issue, by the way, on top of the fact that we immediately had to pause. So this was really handy for Smash because he realized as we were paused that his headset was going through some troubles. And so therefore, while we make sure that Chronicler catches up on Arcane, we can also get Smash a new headset and sort all of that stuff out.
You know how...
Hi, Ruby Spiders, by the way. They said hi to me in chat. Did you see that?
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You know how... I'm sure you are familiar with this feeling as well. How you kind of want to do something, but then someone tells you that you need to do it, and then you definitely...
Oh, and I know that you get that feeling a lot.
Yeah.
You know, you got that hipster energy. And so, like, me telling you to watch Arcane over and over again will almost guarantee you'll never watch it.
I don't know about hipster energy. One of my most recommended artists to everyone ever is Carly Rae Jepsen. Okay, like let's not go. Okay, actually, no, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I'm right. I know you relatively well, I think.
At this point, yeah, I hope so.
We've also got some Dagon mukbang.
As long as it's not ice cream, I don't want to go through that whole.
As long as we can commentate it as well. Well, I can commentate it while Chronicler's watching.
I can do both. It's fine.
Oh, please. Okay. Wait, it's mukbang. So wait, doesn't he need to have a microphone also in his mouth?
What is he eating?
While he's eating it? Doesn't that have to happen? What is this? Is this what we have for lunch today? Because it looks pretty good. Like noodles?
Is it like noodles and beef?
Is it like Thai? Oh, here we go. We've actually got, he's got the microphone. We can't, I don't know whether many of us, he's trying to do the ASMR.
Well, we can't hear him, right?
Yeah, we can't.
No.
We kind of can. We kind of can. Okay,
awesome.
good.
All right.
And he's clicking it around.
There's a lot of pressure on this.
It's not very satisfying. You got to start eating. Start eating, man. Start eating. Like, put it in your face.
But it's the MVP here.
Like, it's not. Oh, there we go.
Oh, the lighting?
Oh, it's disgusting. I don't understand mukbang at all.
I don't get it, man.
I really just don't get it.
It looks good, though, the food.
Yeah. Oh, look at the full zoom. Look at that full zoom. Absolutely amazing.
Man, while this is happening, Jace has apparently figured out something about magic and science.
Yes. And no. And that's a spoiler. Now people know that Jace is alive in episode 2 of Arcane.
Yeah. Shocker.
Of season 2. Heimerdinger is there as well, which is very, very cool. Oh no, my bottle! I've got a non-branded water bottle that people just saw. This is absolutely disastrous.
I really want to show my bottle because it has a really cute sticker that Ox and his wife got me.
Yeah, I think you're allowed to do that.
No, because it's branded.
Branded so like, I can't see the brand.
No, you can't.
Most of everything has been taken away.
No, I'm not going to take that risk. But there was a really cute Piplup sticker.
Piplup's one of the best ones.
I know. I'm a big fan.
What's your favorite Pokemon starter? Not to distract you from...
maybe... I want to say Bulbasaur.
Bulbasaur? Wow, that's OG.
Yeah.
Also
I never got over Pokemon Blue.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Also, it was very easy to level Venusaur. So for your first playthrough,
you know, for me, I know actually nothing. It's just vibes. I know nothing.
This might be something that that people don't actually know, which is the max XP required is lowest for Venusaur, medium for Blastoise, and actually you require way more for Charizard.
Of course.
To get them to level 100. But ladies and gentlemen, we can go to a short break for now as we get everything sorted out. Hopefully we'll be ready to get into game number 2 shortly, but bear with us until now. And Chronicler will be watching Arcane unperturbed by me in the meantime. So thank you very much. We'll see you soon.
the first lands.
Ionia is but a doorway.
Yes, come claim your prize in my world.
Listen to your puppet, LeBlanc. Besides, you have no host. And even if you did, the new Grand General would never approve another campaign in Ionia.
I have done your bidding. Release me.
Losing our host was an unfortunate turn. As for the might of Noxus, it won't be necessary. A single whisper can cut deeper than 1,000 blades.
To Ionia, then.
시청자 여러분 안녕하십니까? 시크릿 뉴스룸 첩보요원 코드네임 비타민입니다. 저희 시크릿 뉴스룸은 앞으로 매주 이 시간에 누구보다 빠르고 구미가 땡길 만한 다양한 해외 첩보들을 전달할 예정이니 방콕 요원들은 모두 이 시간에 집결해 주시기 바랍니다. 그러면 첫 번째 LTA 소식부터 전해드리겠습니다. LTA에서는 이번에 얘가 여기 왜 나와? 싶은 챔피언이 등장했다는 소문입니다. 이 챔피언이 등장하자 많은 사람들의 환호와 박수가 나왔다고 하는데요. 4월 7일 디스가이즈드와 플라이캐스트의 경기 V4 선수의 픽을 주목하세요. 와, 요릭이라니 진짜 오랜만이네요. 과연 그 활약은 어땠을까요? 경기 시간 15분경 집중 견제가 들어오면서 이대로 죽나 싶었지만 요릭이 누굽니까? 영혼의 길잡이 제이스의 영혼을 길동무로 데려가는데 성공하죠. 이후 사이드에서 또 한 번 상대 탑라이너를 함락시키기도 하면서 역시 V4다 라는 걸 보여줬는데요. 와, 표정 뭐죠? 이런 요릭의 활약에 힘입어 플라이캐스트는 개막 후 전승 행진을 이어가게 됐습니다. 다음은 LP의 첩보입니다. 이 이름 하나만으로도 엄청난 임팩트를 줍니다. 바로 빈입니다. 항상 LCK를 위협했던 팀 BLG와 역대급 슈퍼인기팀 IG의 대결인데요. 바로 이 경기에서 빈이 엄청난 퍼포먼스를 보여줬다고 합니다. 1세트를 승리한 BLG는 2세트에 칼챔의 대명사 빈에게 사이온을 쥐어주는데요. 그래서 그런지 표정이 좋아 보이진 않네요. 게임은 굉장히 치열하게 흘러가며 26분이 되도록 1000골드도 차이가 안 날 정도였죠. BLG가 용을 획득한 뒤 BLG 본대는 아래에 있는 루키의 제이스를 잡으러 가고 루키 선수의 제이스가 죽고 빈의 사이온도 죽으려는 순간 비상! 탈출! 잘 놀다 갑니다. 정말 역대급 탈출쇼를 보여주는 빈이었죠. 이에 열이 제대로 받은 IG. 응징하기 위해 BLG의 본대를 줬는데요. 생각보다 BLG의 저항이 거세서 빠지려는 찰나. 형이야. 뒤틀로 돌아온 사이온이 풀 차진 Q를 3인에게 적중시키며 한타 대승! 빈. 이 선수가 있기 때문에 BLG는 언제나 위험합니다. 다음은 LEC 첩보입니다. LEC에 역대급 경기가 나왔다고 합니다. 얼마 전 젠지와 T1의 3세트, 이번 시즌 최장 경기가 나오면서 손에 땀을 쥐는 역대급 경기가 나왔죠. 이제 우리 LEC 최장 경기 맛을 봐라. 이게 바로 LEC다의 정수를 보여준 경기. 로그와 자이언트 X의 경기 한번 확인해 보시죠.
We've decided instead to not watch Rogue vs GX, and we have decided instead to tell you guys about this chrono break that has just happened. We are going back in time about what feels like 30 seconds or something like that. We're going back to 40 seconds in-game time just to make sure that the level 1 isn't impeded by the fact that players were unable to communicate. I think that's kind of understandable, I guess, but I believe it is also concluded. Chronicler has also decided that he in fact hates Arcane, doesn't want to watch Season 2 ever, and has decided in fact that he doesn't really care about the LCK at all. Care to explain yourself, or...?
I'm not going to reply to such.
You're right here. You can defend yourself.
No, such crazy slander.
If I'm lying, you can say so.
I will not dignify that with a response.
And we all know what that means. We all know what that means. That means, Max, you are correct, and I don't want to get in trouble.
Is that Love Actually? I feel like I can remember Colin Firth saying that in a movie. I just don't know which movie.
I mean, that could have been so many. Maybe it was Bridget Jones's Diary instead.
I think it might be Bridget Jones, yeah.
I mean, they both have Hugh Grant and Colin Firth, so it's just hard to...
I feel like I should know that. Well, again, I guess I also should watch Season 2 of Arcane, so...
You know, Hugh Grant has actually one of my favorite actor arcs, very similar to that of Harrison Ford, where the amount they care has just diminished with age. But the amount they also worry about it is equally as diminished, as we have a bit of a fight here towards the bottom side. Smash getting taken down to 50%. But thankfully, he can communicate with the rest of his team about it without any hindrance.
Well, it's important to express your emotions, you know? You can't just bottle them up.
Exactly.
As we do see...
Like people that, you know, talk about whether or not they definitely don't want to watch Season 2 of Arcane or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Both sums used here for Viper and Delight. In return, so they did gain a favorable summoner trade. Zeka, as expected, is really suffering here. Faker also going for Grass, particularly in these range versus melee matchup. Gonna get a ton of value there.
All right, it's been over a year since we've had a Jarvan game. That feels crazy.
That does feel crazy.
Huh. And it was Ona taking on Canyon that time around, as Zeka with Kingslayer able to get a bit of health back, but otherwise is in a bit of trouble. Going to be teleporting back early. And sort of talking about being in trouble, the last time we saw the Kalista, it was really shoved in quite aggressively by the Caitlyn, of course. The matchup was different. And this time, the Kalista with the Ashe is looking to be working out quite well. As Faker, this could be a problematic scenario, as Zeka is in a little bit of trouble, but never mind. Picks up the first blood. Top of the morning to you, says Peanut. As in the meantime, it's a nice handshake back. The Peacemaker as well from Viper able to help out with this trade, but still a lot of control.
That was so clean. As it Carriaz, I thought, yeah, ghosted there at the beginning of that as well. Yeah. No, that was so clean there from Humble Life. All right, Zeka, very low, goes in, so they go for the point-blank setup with the E to ensure that there's no way that Faker gets out. Peanut with the CC as well. That's, again, an early leader, and I do want to reiterate, no plate has fallen yet. The last time we actually saw these double AD carry bot lanes, they would be getting plates like 2 minutes in, right? When it was the peak, the double Halo Blades meta. Thus far, still we're seeing a small lead for Smash, but they need to keep this pressure up and really maintain and actually start getting plates as well, because obviously the scaling is going to be a bit rough. As we take another look here, goes in with the Kingstar as oh!
Yep, never mind, Peanut, he is on the map yet again. This time Owner is going to turn up, but Smash, oh! Peanut goes in, flashes out immediately, not caught under the turret as well, as Owner gets the EQ flash, but doesn't hold him in range of that turret. Another chain going to connect here onto Faker, who does have the gravity field. But it is still a lot of damage done here by this Silas, feeling so much better after a handy first blood.
And Peanut having a crazy... Oh my god.
Okay. There's too much stuff happening, Chronicle.
Really is. Yeah, they're up.
Oh,
1k gold.
Yeah, Cannon getting denied here by Doran, as there's the flash with the counter-strike, as Zeus looking for more, but decides instead he is happy with that. However, Doran didn't even use his flash. So actually it's kind of okay. But it is a cannon in advantage.
It's flash for cannon.
Yeah.
It's so worth.
Yeah, 4 gold is the lead as well, am I right? Doran actually playing this really, really well.
Good use of the sustain of Mbessa there. Jax this early on, not quite as threatening when it comes to the damage. Viper and Delight have now arrived and obviously are ahead of the play given how the early game played out. It's taking a look, the timing from Peanut here, just impeccable. Go in there, and even with the W not hitting, Smash still gets taken down, and Owner just a split second too late. If he can catch Peanut underneath the tower there, they get a counter kill. Might have been worth, but instead, the gold lead getting bigger and bigger. Nicely set up there as well by Viper and Delight. And this is the one risk you do run when you are running these continuously shoving lanes, is that you are susceptible to gank. Viper also early Dirk now. Do expects him to just go towards that very early Collector.
Yep, Collector IE, pretty good as far as that 2-item spike. And Delight and Peanut getting to work on these grubs. It looks like we're not going to have Owner actually go for anything here. There's another Counter-Strike, this time with Grandmaster's Might from Zeus, but this time doesn't have access to his flash. Try and back that one up, and Doran just dashes his way out, as Mbessa is wont to do.
Oh, this gank is really, really important. But look at that. Zeka's there. They can't really go for the... Until they have confirmation that he's gone.
There are a lot of bases that have been covered here by HLE, and of course, they did see Owner on Vision there at the same time. I'm pretty sure you're not going to come up, clear out Control Ward. When Becomes Lightning does not take down Carrier or hit him. As Doran once again going to get engaged on. Zeus looking for another angle, as Doran just constantly having to deal with this Jax being a nuisance. But he's actually just doing fine as far as farm is concerned. More fighting here in the mid lane. Chaos Storm's going to be traded. Good gravity well once again from Faker.
Still, Zeka's going to be extremely happy with the trade. Silence is one of those champions where even if you lose the short-term trade, right, you have so much build and sustain.
Oh, public execution here onto Zeus as Doran's seeing whether he can get it done. Does have minions to contend with as well. And Zeus is just going to say thanks for that and go home.
I think Zeus should have been dead there, because he didn't actually have E.
Yeah.
But he clearly did not think so, and so did Doran's Peanut.
Oh yeah, when Becomes Lightning, Carrier in a bit of trouble, but not going to be dead just yet.
Oh, wow, Carrier with the restraint there, not actually going to use his flash, just uses the Ghost to deny the third auto. But the damage is already done, right? Like, he is low. Peanut might be able to set up the classic Q there on the turret, and there it is.
Yeah, looking for Smash here, and he's trying to dance his way out. Peanut's going to be dead, although the bailout is going to come in. It's just not going to do anything, so Smash is going to be able to lock that one down. Ace in the hole comes in from Viper, but isn't actually going to grab any kills, so a 1-for-1.
That's a great trade. Yes, Peanut's camps are up. He's going to suffer a little bit for this, but you take Smash out of the game again. And these targeted ganks from Peanut, a really big difference. Owner was the only one that was actually able to match his opponent in game number 1, but this time around, Peanut really doing a number on every lane except top, and it's Zeus, so he is just kind of winning that one by himself. As we take a look here, hits the win, Becomes Lightning, means that he easily gets the setup, and then again, the damage is already done because of that gank. Carry as low, and yeah, he has his flash, but it doesn't matter. He doesn't really provide any value here. Smash, it's level 6, but it doesn't make a difference, and that's what we're talking about. The thing with Xin Zhao is you can just charge your Q on the turret and then very easily get that set up. You do get the flash out of Viper here from Owner, which is nice, but nice isn't really going to cut it with how this early game has been playing out.
Yep, you need to do a whole bunch more. Of course, mid-game fights are going to be something that T1 can rely on. They have the Fate's Call and things like this with Smash on his Kalista. Is the arrow going to get a flash out from Delight here as well towards his top side? And now that these level 6s have come in, maybe it's a time for T1 to fight back. The problem is HLE today just look like a completely different team to what we've seen from the last week and a half.
Maybe the first-hand hangover has finally worn off.
Yeah.
I know all those habits that were ingrained in them.
They took an aspirin. They definitely did. Or maybe some hair of the dog. You never know. Okay, Doran once again going in, but Zeus is just going to bonk him. Does get the shield. And the flash forward, it's answered, but the answer echoes into nothingness as Zeus grabs the solo kill on the bottom side.
That one's personal. Multiple plates falling as well. I'm pretty sure Zeus autoed a minion somewhere in that whole equation as well.
Oh dear.
Didn't even matter.
Insult meeting injury.
Yep, really did. And I do think, again, T1, this composition still has a good amount of team fighting power. Their engage is decent with the Ash Arrows, plus the fact that they have a Jarvan. But if they fall too far behind, they are just going to run into a giant meat grinder. As we take another look, so much damage to come through. There's the auto and the minion, and then the flash-empowered auto, and it's an auto attack. It can't flash that.
Yep, and the fact that he just waits for the shield to wear off, and then immediately the flash does come in, it does mean that Doran probably had a bit of a heads up as to what was going to happen there. Not actually able to outplay it and flash early. Wanted to make sure that he wasn't just flashing away without any response. But that would have been better.
They're about to get 6 grubs out, Bliss. We know what the stats say about that.
No. Are they going to buck the trend? Are they going to make it so that 6 grubs isn't an absolute detriment here in the LCK?
Well, they
or worldwide, should I say?
Well, they haven't given up a dragon, which normally is, you know, what I think makes that equation a little iffy.
Yeah, it's the giving up of anything.
That hasn't really transpired yet. No, I'm with you.
Well, Doran now just going to try and answer here.
They need to find a big outplay. They need to find a foothold back into this game because Humble Life is snowballing it very aggressively.
Yeah, the Demacian jungler face-off is possibly going to happen.
This is the problem. If they don't dive, like, Owner can't do anything. The only reason that he was there, because if they do try to dive, he can counter-engage. But instead, he can't counter-gank because they just have a 6 grubs Caitlyn autoing the turret.
Well, Doran can at least deal with this wave very, very quickly. Going to look to continue trying to put on some pressure as T1, they rotate their lanes around. They've got solos in the side lanes, and they've set up with their double AD carry in mid. Teleport comes in. The back, is it actually going to be in time? No, it's not, because he cancels it. And Doran, waiting in the brush, just going to dance away from Zeus as best he can. The counter-strike comes in, though, and Doran is just going to have to evacuate. An odd state of affairs, but just wanting to teleport over towards the top side. Anyway, it was Zeus, and so it just really doesn't matter too much. There's teleport coming over from Faker as he heads towards the top side. And that's going to be their answer to this Jax that is very problematic. He just teleports into the top lane, takes one wave, and then he's back out once again.
Now we have Zeka moving towards the top half. They really want to ensure that they keep this matchup because obviously Zeus is stomping Doran so far. Zeka also wants to keep laning into Faker. Rodovage is done now. There is the early collector that we were expecting here from the Viper. And for T1, I think there needs two things need to happen. First, you need to actually get some of these summoners, because with the summoners up, I think the fight's going to be very hard to play out. I think a lot of what makes T1's comp so strong is that you have things like the Ash Arrow, you have the Flag and Drag, you have the ultimate from Jarvan as well that can lock up targets. You can layer on top of that.
Oh dear.
But if they have Flash, getting that is a very nice, like, theoretical plan, but putting it in practice is
yeah, can be a little bit
harder.
Eclipse is done here for Doran, so actually in that little moment did have a slight lead as far as item power, but Zeus is going to be very, very close to his Trinity Force. Faker now in this top lane, Zeka with the Chaos Storm in hand, will be able to get this lane shoved up. And T1, you can see, licking their wounds is what it kind of feels like at this stage of the game. And it's not what this comp wants to be doing right now. They want to be putting the pressure on.
It's so interesting because I think the bot lane doesn't scale, but the top half of the team scales insanely well, right? Like, Mbessa gets so much free stats from her ultimate. She's a late game powerhouse, although so is Jax. I feel like in that 1v1 is not the best.
Oh dear. Speaking of 1v1s, Faker and Zeka at it once again as the arrow is going to sail by. In the meantime, another fight is Smash, flashes over the wall. And the handshake onto Owner is going to get his flash as well. Peanut, he's over there, he's going in, and Owner is going out. That is the Peacemaker to lock him down. And a pick going over, a second one here for Viper is such a worry here for T1 fans.
Yeah, that expression by Owner really says it all. One of the biggest advantages that T1 have in their matchups against Genji in particular, we've seen them show this against Hanwha as well, is how crisp their early to mid games are.
Oh, another flash from Zeus, and another solo kill from this Jax. As hostile takeover to try and get Faker as Peanut. He goes in, and the ace in the hole is going to clean up a killing spree for Viper. This time, Peanut isn't even going to die, as that volley not nearly enough damage, and HLE are just running over T1 today.
Yeah, it's cooked. Barring a miracle, when T1 isn't winning early skirmishes, you know things are not on their best form. You know, players are normally so synced up, but right now, understandably, I think the Renata to me is the key piece to this. The fact that Peanut can play like a psychopath like that is because they have the bailout, because there is the threat of the ultimate. This is unfortunately an exhibition of why Zeus is considered pretty good at the video game. And then here, Faker gets the stun, walks off the ultimate, and then still just gets hit by both Peanut and Viper because every lane is in a dire state. Life is just snowballing across the map, and our expectations were pretty high for this match here after the Giga banger that was T1 versus Gen G. And Atlas, I think that we are going to be denied an entertaining series because this game is like
and the thing
way
is,
more of a blowout.
Yeah, we've also already had HLE versus Gen G. That was in like week 1. So
it's also not great.
Yeah, it wasn't. And now HLE have decided to wake up, and just in time, as we can see, as Carrier is likely in trouble.
They need a turn.
Oh, Faker is
this the one?
Having some issues. This time HLE do have the inside track towards this topside fight, and Faker is very, very dead. So he's the first one to go down. Zeka grabbing yet another kill for himself. The rest of HLE really were just wanting to know who they want to kill next. That is kind of the question. It's a smorgasbord here for these guys, as it's going to be Peanut taking down the Rift Herald. That is going to be the option that they go with.
So T1 got Viper's Flash.
Hey, there you go.
That's it, Atlas. That's all.
Well, Owner is now looking to see whether he can get some sort of steal. Carrier is in a little bit of trouble, but there is Fate's Call available here.
A Hail Mary, perhaps?
All right, Zayas going in. And the fact that he is here is very, very scary. But now, possible skirmish angle as there's the public execution. Gets Doran into that back line as Owner is going to be taken out in a second. But it's traded for Zayas, and that's a lot of money over to Smash. As a 1-for-1 in that isolated incident. However, Peanut going in, looking for Doran as Viper is going to turn up, layering these autos on top. But he does get himself the shield, gets himself out as now Zeka fighting against Smash. Smash having a lot of mobility, not hit by the chains is really, really important. Wind becomes lightning, but doesn't become hitting Carrier. And so Rift Herald just going to be thrown into the mid lane. But otherwise, I mean, honestly, as far as defense is concerned, T1 probably wasn't going to go much better than that.
Yeah, that's. I'm right there with you, Atlas.
Cup's half full, baby.
It is. Maybe we can make it happen. Even the patented Faker in the side lane is actually a bait. Is not a bait. Actually doesn't end up going the way of T1. And then here, the biggest thing for me is that this re-engage. Look at the health of Smash and Carrier. I think they understand they desperately need to do something. If Zeus has mana, he probably kills both of them there. Unfortunately, because we haven't even talked about this yet, but you're playing Jax into double AD carry.
Yeah.
Which is a big problem, and even with all that investment, it ends up being a favorable trade for Humble Life, who are also going to be, and this is the key thing for me, in a great position to pick up a soul point, yet again, for Mountain Soul.
Oh, God.
And the one thing that Humble Life, outside of, I think the Engage obviously isn't amazing, but they can even use the tools stolen with Silas to make that work, because
well, this is their Engage. It's Peanut go in, and then everything else is layered on top. Faker just caught out in his own jungle. Will just get eradicated.
Yeah, at this point, we're going to need to see Humble Life have a big throw at an Otacon, at a Baron, because T1 is not in control. They haven't been in control of this game for a little while, to be fair, but, you know, we always like to be a little bit safe over statements.
Yep.
I feel safe.
Well, so does Zayas. Carrier does not feel safe, however, is going to be able to ghost and look for a way out. They're still slowing him down as Owner comes in, looks to try and catch the escape there from Viper, but unfortunately it doesn't quite work. Carrier gets out with the Fate's Call. Public Execution gets Doran in there as there's a hostile takeover, as it's a battle between Carrier and Smash, and Carrier actually dies to Smash's red buff. Oh, it's a disaster. Zeus is going to suicide under the turret. Largely looking like a celebration here, though, as in goes Peanut once again.
Zeka, no!
Yep, Smash not going to get another 1v1 with Zeka, as he is just allowed to live.
Nice.
Yeah, well played.
You, Zeka.
That was so sad, wasn't it? Watching the Ashe and Callista just kill each other.
Well, that, but also just the whole tragedy of like Owner going in and then ulting onto Viper, who doesn't have flash, missing the flag and drag, but even missing the flag and drag doesn't matter. And at T1, at this point, you're going for Hail Marys, right? Like, you don't really have a big angle in this game, so they try to go for the play, go in on Viper, then he ease out. Flag and drag doesn't work, which is one of the issues we talked about. But Zeus also zones Smash and Carrier, so it doesn't end up really making that big of a difference. And then here, the betrayal!
Oh, no.
Carrier ends up going down.
That's very tragic. Zeus also does go down, so there's at least that consolation prize, but it's not much consolation prize, guys.
And the rest of this replay is there's a Dutch expression, which is mustard after a meal, which is like, what's the point? Like, why is it there?
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't need to be.
Was it because you didn't notice the mustard and you could have used it?
I assume the origin of it is that you forgot about the mustard, and then afterwards,
you're like, wow, that sausage really could have done with some mustard.
Because, yeah, we love mustard, and the Dutch cuisine is not very elevated. You know, it's just potato, sausage, meat,
and honestly, it's delicious, and it probably was delicious anyway.
No, of course it is. But the mustard, you know, unless you're doing a cheese plate, which I feel like is like a whole different thing, you're not bringing out mustard for dessert.
Wait, cheese plate with mustard? Is that normal?
Yeah.
Huh. I think it's something like
that, or like apple syrup.
Yeah,
but like the thick one, you know, not syrup as in the pouring
like some quince paste, perhaps.
Yeah, like, I assume we're talking about the same thing. Like the black gooey apple. Yeah, wonderful.
Well, Zeka's looking for a little bit of an angle here.
So they get out of con.
Yep. Well, they haven't yet, but it's not likely to be stolen.
This is not the series I was expecting today.
No, not at all. I thought we were having a 6-game banger today.
Well, can still be a 5-game banger.
I mean, the next series, there is no chance that one's not going to 3. Right?
Well, I mean, I think it will be free. Yeah.
Yeah. And,
I'm starting to think that, you know, call me crazy, but this one might not be.
No, I'm
annoyed. Agree. I was expecting a fun, cool game, and instead of just 2 blowouts. Viper stutter stepping in mid lane.
The thing that I do like about this is the fact that our first stand champions are actually looking like one of the best teams in the LCK, which is great to see.
Because they didn't do that for the last 2 weeks. Now that's valid.
I imagine those around the world that are, you know, maybe fans of other regions as well are kind of happy that, you know, the team that dominated without looking challenged at all in that international tournament are also looking like they're able to play like that in their own region as well. You know?
Really a glass half full kind of guy.
I really am. Not for Carrier and his ability to survive. However, he does have a Fate's Call. It is going to keep him alive for now. Zeus doing that thing where he kills Doran.
Up 2 levels.
As Arrow is going to sail by. Looked majestic in the meantime. And Ona's going to turn up and Zeus says, hi, buddy. It's good to see you again. Smash able to sidestep. The wind becomes lightning, but I just don't know whether that means anything at all. As, Faker versus Zeus here Zeka, towards the bottom side of the map. Chaos Storm comes out. Zeka says, all right. And he'll leave. This is slow and steady destruction of all of T1's stuff. And HLE look to be able to do it with impunity. 9,000 gold is the advantage. A teleport right into the enemy jungle as HLE stealing away all of the buffs at the same time. This inner, not long for the world, and it's the last one remaining. 6 turrets to 0. As the 6 grub stats are getting decimated. If this is going to be a victory here for HLE.
Only if, Atlas.
Yeah. And, you know, it's still 50-50. Because there are 2 teams, both of them want to win the game, and one of them will win the game.
Yeah.
And so you divide it by 2, right? Still 50-50. 10,000 gold lead for HLE.
I got nothing, Atlas.
Yeah, neither do we, and neither does T1, as it seems.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, when the Nexus falls, we can bring out the usual cope. I think T1 definitely took some liberties in draft. But for me, what really today caught me off guard is not the fact that Humble Life is winning. Obviously, I think their form of T1 looked better coming in. But it's specifically that the things that have made T1 so good have been their synergy, right? Particularly Owner and Keria, I think, have been looking really great thus far. And I think in game number 1, Owner tried his best, didn't actually end up mattering too much. But Keria trying to go back to an old favorite does not end up working out. And I think that this Baron is about to herald the end of this game, Atlas.
Yep. They're trying to keep Zeus out, but Zeka will find Doran in the side. Not going to find too much more, though, as now Zeus may have bitten off more than he could chew. Smash throwing some sticks into him, and I think Zeus is likely to die. However, gets underneath this turret, and now Owner is the one that's in the wrong position. No more smite for UT1, as now Peanut can freely take down the Baron. Zeka going to go golden as well, buy some time. Hostile takeover is so good here from Delight, and Zeka is going to take advantage of it. Smash will be taken down as well, as Zeus just bonks him with a lamppost. And Keria, that is not your turret, buddy. That is a clean ace, as well as the Baron over to HLE.
HLE with a statement series here, Atlas.
My God.
Yeah, we didn't look that good the last week and a half. Yeah, Gen G 2-0 does.
And this is the main thing that's the most terrifying out of HLE, is the fact that they can look like anything on one day and then just do this. It matters not. The momentum and all of that stuff that we say, all that garbage about like, oh, they did this well in this game, and so that is going to mean that they're going to do better here. Doesn't matter for HLE. At any moment, this could happen.
Yeah, the state of the game that they can just have Zeka take on multiple members. Zeus draws as much attention as he does while they're taking Baron is really, frankly, absurd. Then Delight with the flash ult buffer to ensure he doesn't need to do that. No. They win this fight.
Yep.
10 out of 10 times.
He just wants to make sure that no one dies.
They're just styling on them. And for T1, we can talk about the draft. We can talk about all the other.
Do we have to?
Well, that's my point, right? But the reality is, it's just the gameplay.
Right. Oh, nice flash there from Faker. Does not matter, as in the 1v2, Zeka is absolutely going to kill everyone. The dash over, and doesn't even need the chains to land. The double kill does come in. Back-to-back solos here from Zeka, as Keria is in trouble. That is going to be Peanut locking that one down. Was that 1v3 sort of thing? I mean, the wallets are so heavy, it's absurd. As Doran goes in, and then he goes out. Fire the Death Chamber, as Zeus spinning around, twirling the lamppost, as these Nexus turrets are going to fall one after the other. Zeus not even going to die to the fountain here, as Viper looks for the Peacemaker, does not connect it, as the hostile takeover is going to annoy Smash momentarily. Peanut thrown in because the Fate's call was stolen away, and HLE will pick up the 2-0 here today. An absolute shellacking, complete domination from our first stand champions.
A lot of hype going into the Saturday Showdown, a lot of talk, a lot of questions. But when all is said and done, every single player on Hanwha Live ran circles around every single player on T1.
Yep.
And game number 1 felt like, you know, there was at least a little bit of an angle. Game number 2, no, nothing.
Yeah, you can see Koma just trying to cheer up the team. And of course, it's regular season. It doesn't mean a whole lot. However, the fact that HLE can just do that when they feel like it is very, very scary. As it's a happy Peanut right there. Dandy, like, buddy, you didn't need to do that. Is what it kind of felt like to me, watching the interaction as our Super Soldier playing his Yone and his Sylas. I hear those are champions that he's pretty good at. Chronicler, that's what I would say. And what's your POM comment? Who's picking up POM for this one? Is it Delight for just being incredibly good? Is it Zeus for back-to-back solo killing Doran?
I actually don't know. I hope we get a split vote. I think Peanut is a great one, given that he ran the Rift in both games, but he was a little bit of a slow starter in game 1. Owner did kind of, for me, I gotta go Super Soldier.
He was pretty good.
I think that his game number 1, Yone, was definitely, that one was easy. I think that he was definitely the player of the game.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
That one was a no-brainer.
I think Delight had a phenomenal game 1 as well. I think he's like sleeper pick.
I honestly, literally, you can make an argument. I think the only one that you can't is Viper, and that's not even because he did anything wrong, but he was
he was just unfortunately playing MF and Kate.
he was good. I think his MF in game number 1 in particular was great. For me, I think the most likely to get it would be Peanut or Zeka. Peanut for this game number 2, and then Zeka. But if it ended up being Delight, that's fine. If it ends up being Zeus, I did think he took a lot more liberties in game number 1, even though his impact can't be overstated.
Look at this, Delight killing Carrier with Smash.
Atlas, if it's a Delight vote, I'll be delighted.
Yeah, no. Sorry, I was just talking about the highlight.
No, it's
just, that was tragic.
What do you think was Zeka's reasoning for not following through there? Because I think he could have.
I think he was like, they've suffered enough. Is mainly the thinking. And then in this moment, he's like, nah, I just kind of want to kill all of them.
That play from Delight.
Yeah.
They're up like
very cool.
They're up like 10k gold here, by the way.
And then Peanut with the W flash as well. As here is Zeka with the 1v2 solo. I think this moment here is a good example as to why Zeka is probably going to win player of the match. And yeah, not a whole lot of places that he could go. Zeka, zero reaction to the situation at all. As Peanut just goes in by himself and kills Carrier.
The reality is just Zeka is our best melee mid laner. And we have a lot of incredible mid laners in the LCK. They all have different strengths.
And melee mid laners as well, like Chovy, for example, sort of made his name on melee mids and tops.
And obviously, you know, as for who's the actual best mid laner, that's a whole different discussion. In the current LCK. But 2 back-to-back masterclasses from this man.
And Faker did do a lot of damage, but it didn't seem to mean very much. Oh, Zeus as well, my God.
That's a jungler.
Yeah.
More damage than it. That's actually
And it's a Xin Zhao.
Yeah.
When do you see Zins do that much damage? He did how much more than Ona in this game? Like
it was a not god game.
Yeah, that's like almost 5 times the damage.
Yeah.
It's almost exactly 5 times.
Yeah.
And they're both Demacians. One of them's a prince.
Atlas, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, did not die once.
He's just absurd. You know what? The old counter to Zeka of just ban his champions doesn't even really work anymore. That's the real issue. As I think that's warranted. I think the jungle votes make complete sense. I think Peanut.
Not good.
It was a real not god game today.
It really was.
He was crazy in both games.
Oh, by the way, we also have Viper joining the space after the POM interview. So we're going to have a chat with Zeka, and then Viper is going to come and hang out. So that is very, very cool. But first up, let's have a chat with Zeka and hear about why they got so much better here today.
Thank you very much, guys. This is here for the POM interview translation, joined by Zeka on the side of Hana Life Esports. Congratulations! How do you feel? After the T1 match, it was such a crucial one, but just being able to win against them with a 2-0 feels great. And it looks like Zeka's family is here on site to cheer him on. Let's talk about game 1. You guys took Yone as the B1 pick. So how did you guys prepare for this draft? No, I think in our tier list, Yone is very high up there. And we decided that Yone would be really useful. And it was a quick decision for the earlier phase of the match. So how did you react to your Yone being open? In our preparation, we actually did talk about how Yone might actually be left open. So that was something that we had predicted. And in game 1, the enemy took Nafiri and Ari, a skirmish-heavy mid-jungle comp. So how did you and Peanut plan to deal with this comp? Compared to our mid-jungle comp, we decided that we knew and we were aware that their mid-jungle comp would be pretty heavy and strong early game. So I think that's just something that we had to keep in mind while playing the game out. And game 2. Oh, it looks like your mother just sent you a heart. Do you want to react back? That was a great response. This was, and then just to talk about game 2, Lin Zhao's pathing was super effective, and from the level 3 mid game to bot game, he was staying so proactive. I think, initially, I think I was having a really hard time laning, and I think just from Peanut saving me, it actually made the game a lot better for me. And Rod of Ages is a trendy item in the mid lane, so is this just a good item or is this just a situational one? I think Rod of Ages has received a lot of buffs lately, and I feel like it's just really a well-rounded item for any mid champion to start out with, so I think that's why we're seeing a lot of Rod of Ages build. And what is your resolution to keep the momentum going? I think our performance has reached it's going up and it's on the rise, so I hope that we can keep it going. And that's the end of the interview with Zeka. I'm back to the space. Thank you.